I always try to remind people that your brown fat that protects you from the cold, it's not something that just happens on its own. And if you're always covered up and you're, hunkered down and you layer yourself up, you won't be cold in that moment, really, but you're never going to develop the brown fat that season until you get outside with not enough clothing and you let yourself get a little cold, for a few days. You just try to do some cold exposure and then you actually cultivate brown fat. It's a special kind of fat that's good for insulating, like blubber.
Huh.
Yep. Yeah, it used to be thought that brown fat was something we were born with, like at a certain level, like melanin or something, how dark your skin is.
Hmm?
I mean, obviously it varies a little bit with sun exposure, and it turns out this is sort of similar in that way that we can deliberately expose ourselves to cold. I mean, I don't know if you want to go all the way to the Wim Hof method, like the crazy stuff that
Uh-uh.
I like to do. It's just something to think about. You don't necessarily have to build your brown fat if you don't want to, but this way, when it gets down cold, when it gets to be, in the 60s for Steve, you're not, you feel different. You can actually build up a tolerance to the cold. The Scandinavians have known this for years and years, but the Scandinavians that moved here lost that mostly, I think, except for maybe the first generation immigrants. There's probably a lot of them where you are, Heidi, right?
Yeah,
People from, Northern Europe, I've noticed, that's, I guess maybe because the climate is a little more similar
I think so.
and you get a lot of, Norwegian names and Swedish names and things.
Hmm.
But you got to live like a Swede, otherwise you don't have those superpowers. You got to like get out there and just tough it out. You're not, it's not going to kill you immediately. You know what I mean? It takes time. It's just physical pain, just like exercise. It is physical pain. And we have an aversion to pain. And I think that's something to ponder. Is our resistance to any suffering at all? If you live that way, what's life like? If we're always avoiding the suffering that comes from going for a run, it hurts to go for a run, especially the first mile. It's painful. Here's Mark's here. He's a runner. Are you back to running now that your legs are good
Yeah,
again?
for a couple more weeks.
Yeah, so you're not quite there yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
doctor's orders
Okay.
or
Well,
doctor's suggestion.
suggestion. Well, they don't really know, and they have no real authority over you. You're a sovereign being. Sometimes you listen to a doctor and go, I hear what you're saying, but that's not me. That doesn't resonate with, what feels right to me. Yeah. Don't push it though.
Yes.
Yeah. But you got to push through the pain a little. I mean, that's very relevant, isn't it? Like every time I get hurt, I remember this. There's this phase where it hurts more to get healthier,
Yeah.
right? To move that thing that's stiff or weak or whatever, it's gonna hurt. Don't be afraid of the pain. It reminds you that you're alive and you're doing the work that's necessary to challenge your cells so that they push back and respond and give you more power for more adventures. Hey everybody, gonna do a little kiting. The winds are about 14 miles an hour, so sort of the upper end of what a student parachute would fly with. And this first wing I'm gonna pull up is a speed wing. It's not a very big one. I like to start if I'm not sure of the wind conditions, if I don't know if maybe it's going to occasionally gust, that sort of thing. Then I'm going to be really cautious and just fly a smaller wing. If if you're absolutely certain because you've been standing there for a long time, that doesn't necessarily have to be your choice. I do find that when it's below freezing, like it is right now, gloves are a really helpful idea. Otherwise, you're going to be out here for like 2 minutes. The winds are variable today, which means that I'm going to need to time this correctly. So when the wind cycles, wind basically, it cycles based on thermals and other variables. And sometimes you get a stroke of luck and the wing will be happy for 5-10 minutes and you can do lots of fun stuff, and then it'll just sort of die off and you go, all right, time for a break, or time to practice forward launches, right? So basically, instead of being reversed where I've got a 180 degree turn in my risers, I could just face right up the wind line with the wing in a nice arc shape. And the wingtips, I think it's a good idea to have the center sail pulled tight and maybe the wingtips not pulled quite as tight, sort of pulling back towards the container. And then you got your toggles, you got your reds, your front risers, and you just charge straight at the wind and pop it up. I love the sound of when it pops. So obviously you give opponent input to keep it centered on the wind line straight downwind of you, and over your head it flies better. You'll discover that. But it's important to bring it back down. You can do that with the toggles, sort of get right down the middle of the wind line. You can also sort of ease it off to the side of the windows and touch a wingtip, and then arc it over like a rainbow back to the other side, and get comfortable with wherever it is. Great fun. And I didn't spend a dime. I got a little exercise. I felt like I was under canopy a little bit, and I think that it's something that people should consider doing. Skydivers should do it. And if you're thinking about paragliding down the road, learning to kite a speed wing will definitely make big steps towards preparing you for handling that big wing. Although there are some differences, of course. But it's smaller and more manageable. I think that this is worth doing. It's got my thumbs up as an activity, especially when you're not allowed to jump for some reason. Wind is talking to me. It is time. Listening to the wind. One of the more important concepts that I've learned in aviation as a whole is the difference between willingness to fly and willfulness. If it's not good, it's not good. That's fine. You can't be so needy, or you just need to fly that you force a square peg into a round hole. You gotta be patient and accepting of the situation, so you don't waste your time on
super low winds and you don't waste your time and possibly your bones on too much wind or turbulent wind. Last time I was up here, I didn't even get my wing up over my head. I just stood there and with it nose down and evaluated it, and I got to do something really cool. I got to show my boys who were with me paragliding that sometimes you don't fly. Yeah, there is some wind, and it is the right direction for me. I'm just waiting for a few more knots. I like it that it requires patience like this. Yeah, I felt it. You see, as I'm standing here, I can feel it change. It changed in temperature, got colder, and it pivoted off to my right. That's interesting. Could be what happened last time where I had a little trouble getting off the ground because I wasn't going straight into the wind. Even if the slope is nice and steep and you want to run down, straight down the hill, you run into the wind. And that might be across the slope. But it's not the slope that makes you fly, it's the wind. I've got a gut sensation that it's about to get good. So my left riser is over the top, which means I'm going to be turning left to face forward after I pull it up in reverse. It's a good trick, even if you're hanging under a line-twisted parachute. If you look up at your risers, the one that's closest to you is the side you turn towards. Good little tip. A lot of people kick the wrong way when they got line twists. You've done it, haven't you? I have. Oh, I think you might be listening.
Hey, I turned around without catching my camera. So the trick is, don't just run and then hit the brakes. You gotta run, get some speed, and then you fly. Right from the speed. So I'm running really fast. Now I'm flying. There we go. God, that's fun. Even a baby flight, it's just so gratifying to be running and then fly. I love this. And install it back down. Bonk. Excellent.
And believe me, I don't have all the answers. And that's the good thing about community is that we can find the answers together.
Right. Absolutely.